Hello, love. You're here with Melanie on the Chilove Radio Show, Pop Radio Worldwide, iHeartRadio, and Spotify Premium. Before we begin, let's take 3 deep breaths. Before you take each breath, I want you to visualize whatever your issue is. As you inhale, I want you to gather up the circumstances of that issue and then release by blowing it out. 1, 2, 3. Okay, let's talk about Chance the Rapper. He organized a peace walk here in Chicago, Illinois, with a group of other musicians and organizers. And they had this peace walk here on the South Side. G Herbo, Vic Mensa, Joey Pert, and Chance the Rapper wanted to do something to mark the end of summer and the start of a new school year. The need for education and solidarity were the key messages. So, Chilove salute to Chance the Rapper, G Herbo, Vic Mensa, Joey Pert, and everybody else who came together to put this peace walk together. So we have some more, good things happening here in Chicago. Situations occur that brings the emotion of love and sympathy out for one another. And in this case, Chicagoans paid a tribute to Ruth Bader Ginsburg. She was the Supreme Court Justice who recently passed. Her son has a business here in Edgewater. A lot of Chicagoans stopped by Jim Andersonville's record business and left flowers as a tribute to the towering women's rights champion. RBGSA called her. She did a lot for women's rights and women's equality. Her policy actually helped to change the world in a lot of ways. So I want to give a Chilove salute to her, a Chilove salute to the Chicagoans who paid tribute to her and comforted her son during this time. Let's also talk about how a Chicago native is helping kids put stock into themselves. Rendell Solomon. He's from K-Town, West Side. Now, K-Town, especially K-Town, I'm from K-Town. I'm from the West Side originally. And the K-Town, the West Side, was known more for crime versus educational opportunities. From day one, he was taught that education was the key to personal and financial success. So we're speaking from day one. That means that this is something that was instilled in him through his home. Sometimes the location that you're in might not be the best location, or the circumstances surrounding your household may not be the best circumstances, but you can still set standards for your household. So Mr. Solomon is a managing director, and this job inspired him to create his nonprofit initiative, One Stock, One Future, which aims to turn 1 million youth into public company shareholders via workshops and donated funds. He also created League of Superwomen, a networking and panel series showcasing female entrepreneurs. So Chilove salute to Mr. Rendell Solomon of Cape Town, West Side. I came across an interesting story that I think should be utilized here in the United States. The headline reads, "Rapists to be surgically castrated, then sentenced to life in a prison under a new law." And the question is, should it expand in America? Rape is one of the most degrading, demeaning, dehumanizing crimes that could ever be committed against a person. To rape somebody, to invade their personal body, to invade their personal selves. Majority of the people who experience some type of rape or sexual assault, that changes their lives forever. It changes their lives forever. Majority of the victims of rape or sexual assault have PTSD, anxiety, depression. Sometimes they have split personalities, or multiple personalities behind it, gender identity issues. It's a lot. It's a lot that goes on when somebody is raped or sexually assaulted. And it's not like, you fell down and scraped yourself and you just gotta wait for that little wound to heal. It's an internal wound develops that lasts with a lot of people for the rest of their lives. Now, Nigeria is facing an epidemic of rape and has toughened their punishments for the offenses in hopes of deterring it. A regional governor has declared that people who commit the crime of rape of an adult will be castrated. So I feel like that's fair. You violated somebody else's personal person. Your person should be violated. And I feel like after they castrate them, they should make them eat their member. I feel like that's where Lorena Bobby went wrong when she castrated Joey Buttafuoco. She took his third leg and threw it like into some type of field. They ended up finding it and like reattaching it for him. Had she made him eat it, they would have never been able to find it to reattach it, even though in his case he did not rape anybody or sexually assault anybody, but that was his consequence for his infidelity. But in the eyes of those who are rapists, yes, I agree with your third member being castrated. Those who are convicted of child rape will be put to death. I agree with that also. Now, the number of cases have been increasing during the COVID-19 lockdown. So because of this, a state of emergency was issued due to increased violent crime. So we're here in the United States. Nigeria is in Africa. It seems like 2020 has just increased the crime, the situation of 2020, the circumstances of 2020 have increased the crime rate. The governor advised that the punishments were necessary in order to protect children in the region. You hear different things about pedophiles and, rapists, especially pedophiles. There is argument that says that it's a sickness for them. There's an argument that says that they cannot control these impulses, and they will do it again. There'll be a reoccurring situation because they have a lack of control over themselves when it comes to touching and invading the little personal spaces of these little babies. It's just ridiculous because a child, their body parts are still developing. And just because the little girl has a vagina does not mean that it has developed enough to where it could be penetrated to get some type of sexual pleasure. So I agree with them being put to death for what they're doing to these children. You know, some children have been raped or molested and still have to see the people that did it to them, or see the people who did not help to protect them. They still, and it's a reoccurring nightmare over and over again. So death is appropriate because one thing that little baby will know is that this particular person won't ever do it again. You are safe from this particular person. As you move on to try to help this child heal so that they can try to become as healthy of an adult as possible. And parents, you need to listen to your children. Sometimes you're dropping your child off at a family member's house or somebody who you feel like is a close friend, and your child will constantly cry or holler or not want to go, or start acting despondent and not responding. Something in your child is changing when you're dropping them off with certain people. You need to look into that, because it's one thing for a child to have attachment issues to the parent and don't want the parent to leave, but it's another when it's particular people and your child is fighting and screaming and hollering because they don't want to be left with this person, and they might be too little to really vocalize what is happening. Or if you pick your child up and you noticing that their energy has changed or certain little differences about them, listen to your children, inquire about what is going on, what is making them feel like that. You never know, because a lot of people try to scare the children, tell them that they'll do something to the parent, tell the child that the parent won't believe them. You need to get in tune and be more mindful of who you're leaving your children with. And it's not just the adults who are hurting these children. Other children are sexually assaulting other children. So I know a lot of times parents feel like silence is a good thing. If them kids quiet, it's a good thing. If they're too quiet and too quiet for too long, you need to go check it out. Or you hear, one of the kids holler out or scream, don't ignore it and just figure, oh, they just being kids, because you don't know what they're in the room or the other area of the house. You don't know what is really going on. So knowing the patterns and behaviors and the common noises and responses or whatever of your children is very good, because then you can also identify any inconsistencies in their behaviors. And a lot of times, if it is not dealt with immediately, these predators continuously rape, continuously assault these children, and nobody is inquiring, nobody is seeing any differences in their behaviors. If the child is, brave enough to come forward and say that somebody hurt them, you need to investigate, you need to get on it, you need to protect your child by any means necessary. Because one thing about it is that your child is going to remember how you did or did not respond when you found out that somebody had hurt them or invaded them. So in Nigeria, almost 800 cases of some form of sexual violence began between January and May. 800 cases. Women who commit the offense will have their fallopian tubes removed for raping anyone under 14. If they rape a person over 14 years old, it is life in prison. Usually when you're hearing about rape or sexual assault, it's coming from a man. But there are women predators out here as well. So again, I tell you, I don't care if it's a woman, if it's a man, if it's a child. If your child's behavior becomes erratic, if your child is usually very energetic and all of a sudden they just somber, start having nightmares, wetting themselves, there are so many clues and differences in behaviors, differences in their normal behavior. And when you start to see that, check it out and do what you have to do to protect your child. So we have a particular story of a 22-year-old woman who lived in Nigeria. She was a student and she had been studying at her local church. Her half-naked body was found lifeless in a pool of blood where she had been a choir member for years. The item used in the assault, which was a fire extinguisher, was recovered and it led them to the suspect because of the fingerprint. Her sister said that she wanted to become a pastor and she was murdered where she had always found peace. That is beyond ridiculous. Church is supposed to be a safe place. And for someone to not only violate her, but then use a fire extinguisher. It just really sounds demonic. And we talk about issues with the law and with the police and the officials and how they treat the residents a lot of times. But Superintendent David Brown made a remark about the evil bastards. Evil. So it's like, what do we do when it comes to evil? Some stuff is like, okay, this person did a bad thing. And over time, it can be rectified. But when a person does something that causes one to lose their life, causes trauma to somebody, that's the issue that must be dealt with swiftly and aggressively. Then we wonder why we have such a surplus of maladaptive behaviors. And we wondering Why is everybody acting the way that they're acting? You'd be surprised at how many people have been raped or sexually assaulted and had never officially reported it. And you try to just keep going, and at some point decide that this incident is not going to continue to have such power over your life, but you still are dealing with that trauma. You could be out somewhere, a certain song, a certain smell, a certain location, anything could trigger you and take your mind right back to that violation of yourself. So in situations where one's actions have caused a lifetime of grief, a lifetime of healing, I just believe and I stand in agreement with some swift and aggressive action, especially once the person is found guilty. I don't understand how a man could come from a woman and yet hurt another woman. How a man can help to create a daughter and yet traumatize and destroy another man's daughter. Same thing with a woman who is the perpetrator. You're a woman. You know the intimacies of being a female. And for you to take it upon yourself to take what you want from somebody and invade somebody else's personal space is abhorrent. Woman to woman. Nothing is wrong with putting yourself in somebody else's shoes or asking yourself, how would you respond if somebody was doing this to you? How would you like it if somebody was doing to you what you're doing to them? And a good 9.9 times out of 10, you personally will be ready to kill over something like that. But you have some type of entitlement to where you can go and physically demean a woman to impact her self-esteem, to make her feel lower, to make her feel objectified. And to a child, because they're not even familiar with sex and the stuff that comes with it, their brains don't even know how to process something like that. Their brains can't even find the words to put it all together to gain some type of understanding. And for you to allow yourself to vibrate that low to where you have some type of demonic possession. Because see, that's not humanity to rape somebody, to rape a child, to sexually assault somebody. That's not a humane norm. That's a demonic norm. And I'm not really an advocate for suicide, but be honest with yourself. And if you know that you are with this and this is okay for you, and you're going to continue to do it, or you have a problem controlling yourself, by all means, do the world a favor. Because, this is go time. We have no time for liabilities. if those spirits are taking over you to the point to where you cannot control yourself, if he has taken over you to the point where a woman or another man or a child is up under you and they screaming and they pleading and they're crying out, or they just become despondent and it's like they're going off into another world, and that does not impact you, by all means do the world a favor, because obviously you have not tapped into your God self enough to cast off those type of spirits that is having you, not even cast them out. You got to ban them, then cast, then cleanse. But I guess by the time your vessel has become invaded to that point, you no longer run you. You no longer control you. Something else is controlling you. And people say, well, it's a sickness. And I am very understanding of sicknesses. I understand what trauma does to the brain. Unfortunately, a lot of the prey becomes the predators. And something about that situation and that show of control, even though it was horrible for them, they would turn around and do it to others. But you know that you didn't like it when somebody did it to you. And sometimes you have situations where misery loves company. And because their life is ruined, their objective is to ruin everybody else's life. They're spreading their pain. They're sharing their pain. How can you say that you have a heart and you're pro-rape or pro-sexual assault, pro-invasion of a child? Do the world a favor, love. It's crazy how when you move to certain areas, people aren't just checking for what type of schools are in the district, or how close the parks are, or whatever resources this community offers. People are also doing sex offender checks to make sure that they're not living next door to a rapist, not living there down the street from a pedophile. Should a rapist still have a right? I don't agree with how the United States of America deals with rapists and pedophiles. They make the victims seem like they the ones who did it, that it's their fault, even the officials. And then when people are found guilty, if they are found guilty, it's basically a slap on the wrist. But then as you look around and you see the stuff with Epstein, with Weinstein, with Cosby, with Kelly, with, oh my God, all these names that's just been coming out of women saying that they've been taken advantage of, that they've been raped, that they've been manipulated. And yes, the Me Too movement has been a blessing, because it's starting to, amp up some energy to where more of these people are being exposed, and the law is taking more of an aggressive um, method to just, get them off the street. But as I say with the jail system, if we're not going to rehabilitate them, if they're in the case of a rapist or a child molester, if there is no way to rehabilitate them, why are we wasting space? And it's like you could say, oh, well, you shouldn't say that people should just go ahead and do the world a favor. It doesn't matter. Because I mean what I said. And their decision to take themselves out when they know that they are out here raping people, raping children. And from my knowledge, there's certain like little websites and her like little workshops or whatever for those type of little people, support groups to try to deter them from, continuing to engage in that behavior. But they really saying that it's like a lifetime thing, that if given the opportunity, they're going to return to what they know. And because of the effect of rape, of sexual assault, let's not mince words or waste time. And if you could just do it yourself, you say the taxpayer someone, write a little note, let everybody know that, this is your declaration to helping to keep the world safe from monsters such as yourself. And I respect that. I respect that. I know females who have gotten raped and gotten molested, and baby, when people hollering thoughts and hoes, they fall, could be poster childs for it. And during a conversation one day, I was asking a young lady, you know, basically like why she was so promiscuous. And she told me of a story where she got raped by another child. I think maybe he was like a year or two older than her. They were early teenagers at the time. He raped her. He stalked her. He had other people using intimidation tactics. And she just felt like they're going to take it anyway. So in order to avoid having to be held down and pinned down, she just gave it up. She felt like they was going to take it anyway. So even to the, hugs to the hoes out here. Because we don't know what happened to you to put you in this position to where just any and everybody could have access to you. Hugs and healing to you. To those who have been raped or sexually assaulted and people don't believe you. Or people tell you that it's your fault. And you have decided and became comfortable with this being the way of the world. A lot of times people do not, just come right out and say, this is what happened to me. But their behaviors and the way that they live their lives exposes that something happened. It exposes that something happened. And for a lot of females, when they were sexually assaulted as a child, your brain represses a lot of stuff to protect you. That's why you'll have certain little triggers to give you a little flashback and stuff, but your brain will kind of try to help you forget it so that you don't just totally lose your mind. But then as you go on in life, certain triggers, and then it causes certain behaviors. And my heart just really goes out to those who have to still be in the company of the person that's raping them. Who have to still be in the company of the people who allowed somebody else to rape them. The people who did nothing when it came out. And although you did not do it, it's still your life. So you have to just take responsibility for the fact that you didn't do it, but you have the power to help to heal yourself, to have to protect yourself, to advocate for yourself, to advocate on behalf of somebody else who had to endure it. You have the power to heal yourself so that you can actually have a healthy relationship. Because a lot of females tend to gravitate, although they know that it's wrong and they know that they shouldn't be treated a certain way. Something about that sexual assault, something about their rape has lowered their self-worth. As men, you have to be careful of how you treat the women around you. You have to be mindful of how you treat the women that you bring into your life and connect to the family, because the females are watching it. And even though you may be a great brother, a great uncle, a great dad, a lot of times you're not great to the woman that you brought into your life. And even though she know that it's wrong, something about that energy is attracting her to being like you. But in this case, she not the sister or the daughter or the little cousin. She the woman. So now she's enduring that man cheating and doing the same stuff that the men in her family were doing to the women in their lives. A lot of times we just living our lives and we're not really as mindful as we should be. Not even aware, that something that we're doing could negatively impact somebody else's relationships as they start to develop them down the line. Because of things that go on at home or within family, and you're the first people to be exposed to this child. You're the first people to start to condition this child. Now the child thinks that this is the way it's supposed to be, even though it's wrong, even though it doesn't feel good. This is all I know. And then when they get exposed to somebody outside of their little box that they're used to, they don't even know how to respond to it in a positive manner. The golden rule, it is a very old rule, but it is a rule that you can follow and carry with you for the rest of your life, of treating others as you will want to be treated. Treating somebody else's daughter as you will want your daughter to be treated. And if you feel like the particular female is not worthy of you treating her correctly, have enough respect for yourself and for her to just let her go. Because your people watching you, your children watching you, your nieces watching you, and they will start to involve themselves in relationships that are not healthy for them because it reminds them of the energy of the men that they grew up around. So a lot of the girls who get raped and stuff, you know, like I said, it's not always reported to the officials, but the block be knowing it, the building be knowing it, somebody else be knowing what be happening to that baby at the certain person go in that house. And it happens to her so much that she feels like this is the norm. It's bad, but it's the norm. So she allows herself to be mistreated, to be utilized and objectified because they want what's between her legs, not even considering her as a whole person. She is not pussy. She is a woman with a vagina. Understand that. So, if you have been put in a situation where you have been raped, where you have been sexually assaulted, we here at the Chilove Radio Show, Pop Radio Worldwide, iHeartRadio, and Spotify Premium take that very seriously. And if you don't have anybody within your home, you know, within your little personal circle, that you can communicate to, that can actually help you out, they can believe you, they can, you know, help you get on track towards your healing, help you get on track towards justice against the person who did it to you. There's a rape crisis hotline in Chicago, the metropolitan area. You can call 1-888-293-2080. If you're in DuPage County, you can call 630-971-3927. If you're in the south suburbs, you can call 1-708-748-5672. Know that we love you and we support you here at the Chilove Radio Show, Pop Radio Worldwide, iHeartRadio, and Spotify Premium. You know, our hearts go out to those who have been violated, man, woman, or child. You cannot change what happened, but what you can do is try to protect yourself and make sure that it doesn't happen to you again and start the healing process. And honestly, it's going to take some time. But be patient with yourself. Be proud of yourself for taking your power back. Be proud of yourself for taking the steps to take your power back. Because that person had no right to invade your privacy. That person had no right to manipulate you or deceive you into, you know, letting them do whatever they wanted to do to your body. And know that you're not responsible for the character of others. And it's never your fault. It's never your fault. I don't care if you was laying there and you didn't have a stitch of clothing on. If you say no, that should be the bottom line. If you thought you wanted it, let the process begin and then decide that you don't want it. You can say no. I changed my mind. And fellas, I don't care how hard it is, how close you think you get into blue balls, you need to respect that. Believe me, the sex is a lot better when she's in agreement to it. But if you're just taking somebody's body to control them and show them that you can invade their personal space so that you could traumatize and torment them to prove to them that you got more power over them, Do the world a favor, love. We'll holler at y'all next time on the Chilove Radio Show, Pop Radio Worldwide, iHeartRadio, and Spotify Premium.